Freire Moreira, thank you so much for taking the time today. You are here in Santos, which is near São Paulo, Brazil.
Yes, close to São Paulo.
So close, so close. And we're here at the INAC conference, which, you know, the theme is fueling the future.
Yes.
And your organization, you're the president of INB, that plays a large role in fueling the future of nuclear energy.
In reality, INB is in charge of to proceed with all this fuel cycle of uranium. It was created for that. We have mining, we have still under implementation the enrichment. We have the reconversion, making pellets, and the fuel
Assemblies, yeah.
assembly at all for our nuclear power plants, Angra 1 and Angra 2.
It's amazing that you guys have mastered the whole fuel cycle and operate nuclear power plants. There can't be too many countries that have that.
Yes. In reality, we take profit from the development from the Navy program. Yes. The Navy developed all the fuel cycle because he intends to have, and they are now underway, the design and construction of a nuclear submarine. For that, they understood in the past that it's very, very important to have all the knowledge about the fuel cycle.
Yes.
And we get from the Navy this knowledge regarding mainly the enrichment procedures.
And you got your start in the Navy as well.
Yes. I started in the Navy in 1973 in Naval College, after that in Naval Academy, and so on. I became a naval engineer in the Escola Politécnica of the University of São Paulo, and I working on all my life in the Navy, in maintenance, design, and construction of submarines and some surface ships.
Is that where you first learned about what nuclear energy even is?
Yeah, in reality, I had many times the opportunity to touch, not to go deeply in the nuclear knowledge. First, in the Naval Academy, we studied a little bit. After, in my master degree that I took in France, we studied some nuclear propulsion plant for submarines and surface ships. And after that, I was still in the Navy. I was the director for the enrichment part of INB from 2005 till 2008. At that time, I was in the Navy. I'm a captain retired, and that time I passed 3 years in the INB.
I was talking to Leonan before, and he mentioned that the naval reactor type was going to be lead. Is that right? Lead reactor?
Lead reactor, yes.
How come the choice for lead as opposed to pressurized water reactor within a submarine?
It's amazing because in reality, I never had a chance to go deeply in the naval program. Leonan, because I was in Rio for the conventional submarines, Leonan passed all his life here developing this part of the Navy.
Yes.
I know some details, some figures from our nuclear submarine, but not, for example, to say to you, the option was took for this reason, for that reason.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have this, but I can assure to you that all this kind of decision, they normally are deeply analyzed. And I think that if they took this decision, could be or take into account that's the most interesting, or maybe it will be more easy for the Navy to develop or something like that.
Yes. The enrichment cycle, that's hard. That is really tough technology to master. How did you guys develop this? Where did you even begin?
It was a long way. I follow a little bit, and the main point of our centrifuge process that was developed by the Navy is that centrifuge is based on the rotation, the different weight of the uranium 2035, 2038. And in this kind of centrifuge that was developed by the Navy, there is no mechanical contact. The cylinder, the internal cylinder floats. They have a kind of mechanical gears. Mechanical, no, electromagnetic gears.
Ah, yes.
This is the point.
Kind of like that maglev train, but inside it's just spinning.
Exactly.
And so developing this technology, how did it grow? So it started off with maybe just a few centrifuges, and then at some point you have a whole production line, and you're able to make enough material to actually fuel the reactors.
Yeah. When I touched this kind of development for the Navy had already his cascade of centrifuge. At that time, that was 2005. They had already his enrichment plant. I can't say to you how they grow, how they develop this, but I know that was a very difficult. Many tests was failed, and they start with the more simple models, and they from time to time they increase the rotation, they increase the length, and because this kind of equipment, they have a big problem because the rotation is very high. And if you have a misalignment or a variation of the energy, you can break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we see what they, on our tires on the cars, they put those spacers just to make sure everything's balanced. I can imagine, and that's only spinning at, a few rotations a second. Imagine if you're going...
If they go out from the equilibrium, they still totally destroyed.
Wow.
It will be totally destroyed.
So what
The
is
internal part.
what is exactly a cascade? Because I heard earlier today you were mentioning we have 5 cascades and going to grow to 7 cascades. What is a
A
cascade?
cascade in reality is you put all the centrifuge in a sequence, and you pass the uranium more enrichment for the next line of centrifuge, the pull uranium from the line behind. This process seems to be a movement of cascade. It's
Yes.
just for this. But in reality, some bench of centrifuge.
And then by the end of the last centrifuge, you have the most enriched
Is
material?
one point at the end, and the less enriched at the beginning.
Yes.
And you take this out.
Yes. So at this point, you said you're still with the Navy, you were the director of the enrichment process. At what point did you transfer fully into the civilian sector?
Oof. I went out to the Navy. I decided to enter out to the Navy in 2008. I was the last rank that you can arrive by yourself. After that is to become admiral is a choice for the Navy. I was well positioned, but the idea was at that time the naval branch was very high point of demands for professionals, and I made an analysis. What will be if I didn't went out for the Navy at that time, and tried to become admiral for more 4 or 8 years. I decided to run into the employee market at that moment, not wait for the other moment, just for this, not a question of opportunity. And I went out for the Navy in April. In July, I received I was invited to become an advisor for the SNS Thales company, French company, for the Navy program. And I went to the Navy. I went to the Navy and asked if they see any problem that I work for those guys. They said, no, no problem. You are out of the Navy for more than 3 years. You didn't follow any decision or any discussion about this new. What you know about this new product? I don't know nothing. Okay, go ahead. It's up to you.
I see. So they ask for a 3-year grace period between switching between where there might be a conflict of interest in order to make sure
Yes,
that
not
they're
to be
on too close
uncomfortable with
ties.
the. I was in the Navy. I went out for the Navy 2 months before this invitation, and I thought it is better to ask the guys if there is any problem. I went to Brasilia. I talked to our commander because I stayed attached to him, and I asked if he see any problem that I work with this guy in a Navy program, for a Navy program. No, no, please go ahead. If you can help us, please do it.
Yes, I mean, it is beneficial to have people in private industry who understand how it actually works,
Yeah.
where their products are going to be used. That was probably a huge asset.
It was very important, the discussion at that time. Very, very important.
And then, so when did you join INB?
At the first time, huh?
Or, sir, when did you come back?
I was in the Navy. At that time, he actually also, he thinks that it is important that the person who could become admirals and have a knowledge how it happens in industry. For this, we put a person in nuclear, INB, always attached to the development of the Navy, of the interest of the Navy, because it will be more easy after to discuss, to follow the project and the purchase that Navy can, for example, ask the NOCLAP to do. NOCLAP is a heavy industry, mechanical industry that makes some vase, nuclear vase for the
vessels, yes.
And they make the pressure hull of the submarines.
Yes.
And for the Navy. It's one company that has a very good link with the Navy. Well, in many projects. In the second time, I finished my job in ICN, Itaguaí Construções Navais, in the ProSub program in 2014, and I was acting as an advisor for wind sector and solar sector for producing energy renewables in the Northeast. And our minister that belongs to my promotion in the Naval Academy, in Naval College also, invited me in because he knows that I had a knowledge of the company, and he knows that I have 7 years in the ProSub program, and he knows me.
Yeah, we can trust you.
Yeah, and he invited me in 31st of December in the last year. I accept this big challenge, and I'll be back here. I take charge in 1st of February, and after that I try to change and improve some sector of the company, rearrange some sectors, and mainly try to push ahead the things that were stopped. For example, the mining.
Yes, why did the mining stop?
The mining is very interesting because in reality, it's very easy to put here. We are not working because the guy there didn't give the license, or I'm not working because I don't have this or that. It's very easy to say this. The more difficult is to improve things that you need to work, to produce. And we did this. We make a very a close relationship with our regulation sector, CNEN and IBAMA, and we are working together very, very, very hard. And we hope to restart the production of uranium the end of this year.
Ah,
To
very
the end of
good.
this year. And this is our goal, our intention. And I hope some details must be rearranged or fixed, but I think that we'll have a chance to, because we stopped in 2015. Does it mean that we are almost 5 years without productions? And we have a big resource in uranium.
You guys have the 5th largest resource in the world, I think.
It's very important to understand. We talk of resource or reserves. I thought that we have we are 550 or 60 regarding resource, because you to be confident on it, you have to measure all the mines, all the possibilities that we discovered. And in reality, we have 2/3 of the country to be still explored.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, uranium. Do you find uranium mixed in with other metals? Is that the idea, that it's
Yes,
often co-located with other?
Normally, he's linked with other metal, gold, phosphate, like the Santa Quitéria mine
Yes.
that I spoke. Estanho. Como é que é estanho em inglês? Estanho. Stein in the Amazonas. And, for example, in Caetité, he is mixed with minerals without any value, economic value. In this case, we can't give this uranium can't be exploited by a private company. It must be exploited by INB. INB has a kind of monopoly of the reserve, where the uranium is the mineral that has the big value.
Yes, I see.
This, we are trying to flexibilize this and not to broke the monopoly, because this is, I think that this is, it could be in the second movement, in the second phase. The first is to try to have the private companies make investments where we don't have money to do it.
Ah, I see.
This is the main goal. The Santa Quitéria is a very good case, because, as I said in my speech, we are we make big importation of phosphate, and nowadays we are importing uranium.
Yes. And that's a shame, because you have everything that you need. If you just put a few pieces in place, you could be potentially exporting uranium to the rest of the world.
Yes. The idea with Santa Quitéria, in the second phase of implementation of Caetité, that we have enough production and we can offer this production in the first moment to, for example, in the yellow cake phase.
Yes.
In some years, maybe enriched or in a natural or UF6 natural without enrichment. Many possibilities, but till now, the flexibilization is for mining and producing the yellow cake. This is the idea.
As you are looking around the world and you see, plants are about to start up in the UAE, and there's a dozen other plants around the world currently under construction, and your guys' own intention to build more plants. I mean, do you see a new generation of reactors coming online that are going to increase the worldwide demand for all parts of the uranium fuel cycle?
I understand that in reality, in all over the world, the person are thinking that it's not a new run for nuclear rent, production of energy, things like this. It's not a. Is I think that the countries understand that they must have as a firm production of energy part of this in a nuclear base, and the other use for the uranium also that was, for example, the demand for in medical branch are growing up in a very huge demand. We have also the to for the that they call agroindustria to preserve the foods, preserve some fruits, some and it's very important. Brazil, I don't know if you understood that you lose between 25-30% of all our production because we don't have enough. I don't know the exact
The
name.
radiator machines.
Radiator machine.
For yes, the idea
to preserve
yes,
the
the idea is that you can use radiation to kill the bad bacteria that would eat away at fruit or something.
Exactly. And I think that this is other appeal. And regarding the nuclear power plants, is to split a little bit the production of security energy. That, for example, when you have security between brackets, because hydroelectric plants, for example, sometimes you have some natural problem that you don't have rain enough.
Right, drought can turn off a hydro plant. Yeah,
we are speaking about sure production, but sometimes not so sure.
Especially with climate change, as the precipitation patterns change throughout the world. What we once thought were firm resources like hydro now are less reliable.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Nuclear will always be reliable, right?
Yeah. I believe in this kind of thinking, and countries, for example, in Germany, they decide to stop the production of nuclear power plants. Now they are speaking about electric cars. Who will furnish the energy for this kind of engine?
Yeah.
The charbon.
They're going to have to buy electricity from other countries.
France, all the power plants in the frontier, in the border of Germany and France, there is a lot of French nukes. I come from the northeast. I'm from Fortaleza, and in Ceará and other states of the northeast, you have a big production of wind and solar. But I think that there they arrived at one, I don't know if 3 or 4, regarding on the consumption of the region, 3 or 4%. I don't know, the number maybe are not exactly this, but the problem is, for example, one day like today, you don't have enough wind, you don't have enough insolation.
Yeah.
You will produce, but in a low level.
Yes.
Who will assure the system?
Yes. So why not? So nuclear is what, 3% of the country's electricity?
Nowadays?
Yeah.
No, 2%.
2%. So 2%. Given the increase of renewables, which you need something else, that's more firm than that. Given the changes with hydro, I heard targets of adding another 2 gigawatts. Why not make it 10 gigawatts or 20 gigawatts? Why not get nuclear up to 20% of the grid in Brazil?
I think it's the capacity to invest. A nuclear power plant like Angra, it will cost $25 billion. It's around this. It's a lot of investment. And also, you, in my opinion, they are trying to use all the possibilities of produce energy. Nowadays, you have, for example, some wind generators around 4 or 5 gigs. And you, for example, if you compare this with a solar power plant, you need 5 gigs on solar power plants. You need 10,000 square meters to put in place.
Yeah.
And with one generator, you produce almost the same thing.
Yeah.
Does it mean? I think that you must push ahead all this kind of possibility, not only the nuke. The problem is that the nuke, you need a lot of investment, in my opinion.
Yes, I agree. I
And
think
one chain of actors to arrive at this element.
Yes.
From the mining
yeah.
to there is
Yeah.
a long, long way.
Yes.
A long, how can I say, person, technology. It's not so easy.
Yes, no, it's not easy, and it does require a lot of capital. But doesn't it seem a little silly that nuclear plants are so much more expensive than coal plants? Like a gigawatt coal plant and a gigawatt nuclear plant, same amount of power, should be essentially the same amount of pipes, and the turbine is the same size. Why is nuclear so much more expensive than fossil energy?
One thing that how can I say that increase the costs of nuclear industry, power plants, mining, is the regulations, the control of all the activity, and you have also to think about the waste. The waste is one very important point. Leonardo spoke this morning and about this. He's working on to recover the problem of the how to storage the burned fuel elements from number 1 and number 2.
They can't just, I didn't get a chance to ask him about this, but in the US, we just put them in dry cask storage outside. We can't just do that? Isn't that sufficient?
They are, in reality, we are here, we are more tough than in the United States. I visited 2 weeks ago, I visited one plant from Westinghouse that produce powder, pellets, and the fuel elements. And I follow all the security and for the workers, for the places, for the environment there. And I can assure you that here we are more tough than there.
Is that because of the relationship with the military here, how the nuclear was born out of the military sector, so everything's a little tougher?
No, it's not in this sense, in my point of view. I think that it's a case of experience. In the United States, they have this kind of job, plants. There is many, many years. Here we have the plant, but the production of the fuel for hunger, I think that we are still developing methods, and we have to discuss much with our controller regarding the nuclear field, and IBAMA also regarding the nature, the environment, and ask what is real necessary at this level. If it is, we must follow.
Yeah.
My point of view. No, we must study. We must because, for example, Kinem has a experience here and outside in the nuclear power plants, but they don't have experience, for example, in mining, in the enrichment plant, and the experience that they have is with the INB. It's different because in nuclear power plants they visit, they make some stage over there. Does it mean if there is a lot of rules for this? And for the product, for the cycle, for the rest of the cycle of uranium, Kinem don't have sometimes the rules that the standards that you must follow, and they are obliged to adapt. We had a big problem when we tried to get a license for the first cascade, because at that time they are trying to use the regulation from nuke in the cascade plant, in the enrichment plant. It's totally different because the quantity of uranium that you have in one reactor as Angra 1 and 2, if you compare what you have in one cascade or in one big plant of enrichment, is this comparing to this.
Yeah.
And at that time we had a lot of discussion with them, and they accepted. In reality, they flexibilized this evaluation, and we'll go ahead. But sometimes it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yes, in the U.S., they keep talking about transformation. The regulator itself is trying to transform itself to become more flexible and easier, because we realized over the years we got too strict. We weren't getting any extra safety benefits, but we were putting the whole industry out of business. Are there similar conversations in Brazil about making the regulator more flexible to allow easier development?
In reality, yes. In our GSC, that you have the Admiral Capistrano, he's making a speech, man, at this moment. They are studying all those problems. For example, the regulation problem that I spoke to you, and the waste problem, and many others. Communication. One of them, this group was put in place 1 month ago to study with IBAMA, CNEM, all these actors. Look, let's sit here and discuss what you demand, if it's necessary, if it's not necessary.
Excellent.
If you are demands the things in different way, but the same thing, but asking the different way. And this group of work, they was put in place, as I said to you, and they are trying to not to flexibilize or to not to accomplish the rules. In reality, is to accomplish, follow the rules that was necessary.
Right. Understanding what's behind the rules as opposed to
exactly.
just checking the boxes.
Exactly. We have the experience for many countries that use the nuclear energy. There is 20, 30, 40 years. We have the experience. It's easy to discuss and to look for why they proceed and things like that. I don't know what's the difficulty, but let's see. I think that this group will bring to us good news.
What's the name of this group? Is it a specific working group? Or
They have a number. It's GT 10th, the number 10. For example, I participate the GT 06 that study flexibilization. There is the GT 08 that I put Ricardo, the initial director, that are discussing the destination of waste, how to keep this, what the possibilities that you have, if you don't have a final storage, final deposit, and things like this.
Carlos, as we wrap up here, maybe you can just leave us on a note of why you think nuclear energy is important to the world.
Oh, good question. In reality, I assure you that when I arrived at INB, at that time, 2005 till 2008, I thought that the importance of nuclear energy is to provide energy not so far from the final user. For example, we are talking that nuclear in our matrix of energy regard 2%. But in reality, if you Angra 1 and Angra 2 for Rio de Janeiro, is more than 30% for Rio de Janeiro. And it's close. when they construct Angra 1 and 2, they are not obliged to construct kilometers and kilometers of line of transmission of energy. They use the lines close to Rio de Janeiro, close to São Paulo. They run into the system with few kilometers of connections. For example, we have one state that, como Roraima, where you don't have a connection with our main system because the electric system in Brazil is totally integrated. But there is some parts of the country that are not still integrated. It's very hard to connect because you have the forest here. You must pass with the lines of connection through this forest. Not so easy. But if you install over there one nuclear power plant, it's okay. You can distribute the energy close to the consumer. I think in this aspect is very important. But I'm speaking at that time. Nowadays, I'm very, very happy to see how we can use the nuclear energy regarding the medicine, regarding all the needs that we have, the exams that we have nowadays for the people, and to preserve food. There is many other applications. I'm thinking about the bigger ones, no? Or without production of energy itself. And for me nowadays, I think that the nuclear branch became more important, not only for this possibility to furnish energy. We see the small reactor. Huh? Everybody talked about small reactors. Very, very important. Because this city, this village, far from the big center, normally they are not so big. You don't need a big reactor for that. And at this moment, I saw that development of nuclear energy, nuclear branch is important, not for this, but for all those aspects that you can improve and you can develop using the nuclear energy.
Carlos Moreira, thank you so much.
You're welcome.